5. So, welcome. We are on day 5 of our 5-day masterclass for the 5 breakup wounds. So, we did the first 4 last week. We did, day 1 was the anger breakup wound. Day 2 was the confusion breakup wound. Day 3 was the shame breakup wound, which was huge. Hi, Dawn! And day 4 was the grief breakup wound, which we did just last week. We wrapped those up last week. And so those are still in the group. If you want to check them out, I really suggest that you do. The reason that we're working on all these things is because if you are wanting to bring new love into your life, then you definitely need to clear out a space energetically for that. And when you have these things that are left over in your energy from your ex, hi Wanda, hi Heather, I'm glad you made it. When you have things that are left over energetically from your ex, then it makes it really hard to actually bring in new love, because what it looks like energetically is that that place beside you is already taken. And what ends up happening is that you kind of draw the same energy, you have the same patterns, and they repeat over and over and over again. And Heather, you actually had a post really recently. Hi, Tanisha. Good to see you. So Heather, you had a post really recently where you talked about a dating detox. You just mentioned that you were doing a dating detox, or planning to do a dating detox, because we talk about that in Soul Love Society, and I've got a video for that in there. But and because you brought that up, it reminded me of something. The thing about the doing a dating detox, this is kind of how it goes with the dating detox. You'll be on one of the dating apps. You know, you'll be on OkCupid or Match or Tinder or something, right? And you'll be on you'll be out there actually dating, right? So you're swiping and you're checking out different guys, and you're responding to, people's interest in you. And so you're online and you're dating and you're meeting people. And then what happens is that you find that you're kind of attracting the same people over and over again, and it's not what you want. So it's like you keep attracting guys that are flakes, you keep attracting guys that ghost on you, or you keep attracting guys that maybe you have like 2 good dates and they never call you again, or maybe you keep attracting scam artists or something like that even. And so you just maybe attract guys that are just kind of boring or something like that. Or maybe you're not getting any attention online, like nothing is really happening. So when those things happen, what a lot of women do is they go, okay, well, I'm just going to stop online dating for a while. So they get off of OkCupid, and they get off Tinder, they get off Match, they get off Bumble, they stop using a lot of the different dating apps. And so then what happens is they, hey, Bren. Hi, love. So then what happens is they get off of the dating apps, and they say, I'm going to do a dating detox. I'm going to just not date for a while. And they take a break, and then they start to feel lonely again. They start to feel a little bit sad and a little bit lonely again, which is absolutely normal. Everybody needs companionship, and everyone wants to be loved. So then they go, okay, well, maybe I'll give it another try, or maybe I'll try a different dating app, or maybe I'll change my profile, or maybe I'll get new pictures, or maybe I'll just give it another go and hope that I find somebody different this time. Hopefully there'll be different guys on there this time, or something like that, right? So tell me in the comments if that's been you before. If you've done that before, just go, that's me. If you've done that cycle before of like, you're not finding what you want online, and so you get offline for a while, and then you, hey Pam, hi love. So you're not finding what you want online, so you get offline for a while, and then you feel really lonely, and then you get back online, and then the cycle just kind of keeps repeating. You get back online, and you're still not finding what you want, and you're you're really not happy about it, but and so you're not really sure what to do. You try it for a while, and then you decide you're going to take a break again, so you go away from it again, and then you start to feel lonely, you start to feel sad, and then you get back on, and then you kind of keep repeating. So if this is something that you do, then yeah, just let me know that that's you in the comments. Just say, yeah, that's me, or like Brent said, just say, I'm guilty, like I do that. Let me know about that. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about the fear breakup wound today, because these things are related. But I also want to tell you, the thing about it is, what you do while you're on the dating detox matters. So if you don't do anything during that time to heal, then you're just bringing all the same energy, all the same patterns back. Hey, Jen, I haven't seen you in a while, love. It's good to see you. So if you don't do anything different to heal while you're on that dating detox, then when you come back, then you're going to bring the same energy back with you, and the same patterns are going to happen. And pretty soon you're going to go, oh, you know what? It's because online dating sucks. It's because online dating isn't for me, and because there are a bunch of creeps and weirdos and idiots online. So that's how that kind of works. But the thing is, if you do things to heal while you're on your dating detox, if you do things to change your energy, and to clear out the things in your energy that are causing problems for you, then when you go back online, you have very different luck. It's much easier to find somebody new. And also if you update your pictures, because there's a weird thing about your pictures when you're online. It's like people can tell things about your aura by looking at your pictures. It's very interesting, but people do. And we all have the ability to do healing, and we all have the ability to be able to read auras. We all have those abilities as human beings. I know that this gets a little woo-woo, because I'm not only a dating coach, I'm also an energy healer. So I'm going to get a little woo-woo. And if you've been rolling with me for a little while, you already know that. But anyway, yeah, if you do your healing work, then take new pictures and then go back online, because we can kind of subconsciously register things about other people's energy by looking at their pictures. So when you've done some healing work, then get new pictures and then go back online, because then you'll show new energy, through your pictures, and it'll be a really good thing. So the point is, dating detoxes are awesome, but what you do in between, what you do during your detox matters. That's important. If you don't make deep changes, you're going to jump back in, repeat all the same patterns next time you get on OkCupid or Tinder or Match or whatever you're going to do. So it's very important to use that detox time wisely to actually heal and do some up-leveling and things like that in your energy. All right, loves. So today we're going to do the fear breakup wound. We're talking about the fear breakup wound. This one is a really important one, because this one keeps us paralyzed. This one keeps us feeling like we don't even want to start dating again. This is the one that makes us terrified that something bad is going to happen. It's like we are so terrified that the same cycles are going to repeat again, the same patterns are going to repeat again, that we won't even dip a toe in that pool. We're just like, nope, not going to do it, because the pain the first time was so difficult. It keeps us really, really stuck. And so you can see how this one, in combination with these other breakup wounds, if any of these, because you can have all 5 breakup wounds, you can have 1 breakup wound, you can have 2 breakup wounds, it doesn't make a difference. You can have all 5 of the breakup wounds. And it doesn't matter whether the breakup was 5 days ago or 5 years ago. If these things still haven't healed, they're still hanging out in the energy. So they still have to be addressed. So it's not a thing of judgment. It's not a thing of like trying to logically analyze them, because your feelings are not logical. So they don't respond to like you reasoning with them. They just have to be healed and dealt with how they need to be healed and dealt with. Dawn says, I have PTSD with heartbreak. Dawn, I'm sure there are so many women who can absolutely understand that, who that resonates with. It's so like that fear is so strong and so real that it keeps us from being able to move forward. It really does keep us from being able to move forward. And it makes it so that even if you're in, say you start dating someone again and they are a healthy person for you to date and they do feel like a safe person for you to date, if they do one thing that even reminds you a little bit of something that one of your ex heartbreakers did to you, and it's even just a little hint of a thing, you will completely lock up and shut down and be like, oh my God, here it goes again. It's starting again. Here it is. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of the end. It's starting again. So it is a really debilitating one. All of these breakup wounds are difficult, but shame and fear, I think, are the biggest ones. And then after that, I would say anger. And then after that, I would say confusion. And then after that, I would say the grief, because grief can naturally heal on its own, but sometimes it can be really compounded. So the fear and the shame are really, really big. Don's like, peace, I'm out. Yeah, exactly. If that happens in a dating situation where somebody just does one thing, like the heartbreaker ex, you're like, oh no, here we go. I can't do this again, and you shut down. So that's why we're going to talk about the fear breakup wound today. So who is this for? This is for anyone who has had more than one partner cheat on you. Or this is for anyone who has had been abused by more than one partner, or even just by one partner. This is for anyone who has experienced abandonment by a parent or abandonment by a partner. Now, when I say abandonment by a parent, I'm also talking about a parent who was not emotionally ever available to you. Okay? So a parent who was never really there for you, even if they were physically there for you. A parent who never really wanted to know you, who you are, and just kind of like you maybe weren't the person they wanted you to be, and so they bailed on you emotionally, like wrote you off emotionally. So if that is a situation that happened also for you, you may have a fear wound that really keeps you paralyzed where dating is concerned, because it's because you're really afraid to let anybody get too close, because there's the feeling of like, if your parent can't love and accept you, then who will? Who can? So this is a big thing for a lot of us who've been through a situation like that, where we had a parent who was very harsh, critical, judgmental, or just checked out, like they emotionally abandoned you. They weren't interested in having a relationship with you. They were like disappointed in you because you weren't who they wanted you to be in some way. So rather than like loving you and accepting you for who you are, they just said, they were like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't who I wanted you to be. Wanda says, I had huge abandonment issues when my dad passed at 6. Of course you would. That's absolutely natural in that situation. And then that would lead to having other issues, maybe with men, or with being afraid. If you saw your parents together and they were very happy together, you might have fears growing up that your spouse was going to die. There can be a lot of things that happen, depending, your childhood sets the stage for everything. So a lot of these things are breakup wounds, and then some of these things are not only breakup wounds, but they have to do with things that might have happened in your childhood that you're working out, because you have to remember whatever is in your subconscious, whatever you set in your subconscious as the rules for your life, for love, you're going to behave in ways that act that out and bring it into your life, right? Those rules in your subconscious are set in childhood. And in childhood, we think that everything is happening because of us. So if our parents get divorced, we think that we did that. If our dad abandons us, we think it maybe had something to do with us. And even though logically and in our conscious minds, as we get older and we have these abilities to like reason and to cope, we know that it's not true. But at certain ages, when things happen to you, it gets really like branded into your subconscious that this is a rule about life and you need to follow it and pay attention to it always if you want to stay safe. So that also has to do with this fear breakup wound. So how do you know if you have this wound? You know that you have this wound if you're hesitating to get back into the dating world because it just doesn't feel safe. Like right now, if you try to date, you may have serious panic attacks, like on a date. You might have actual panic attacks. Or it may not get to the point, hi, Jennifer. Good to have you back. You may get to a point where you have actual, like your fight or flight response happens in dating situations. So literally, like it feels, you're in a dating situation and it feels like life or death. Like you're that fearful. It's not like nervous. Oh, I'm a little bit nervous because I haven't dated in a while. It's not that kind of a feeling. It's like heart beating, trouble breathing, looking for the nearest exits, serious like PTSD kinds of responses. And it's like usually that happens because you're forcing yourself to get out there and you're not actually ready yet. There are things that still need to be healed. And so you're trying to kind of like make yourself do it because it seems like a normal thing to do. Just like, you know, start dating again and you'll get over it. You know, people, that's kind of the conventional wisdom is like start dating again and you'll get over it. Or, you know, you have to sleep with someone new to get over your ex. There, you know, there's all this kind of like conventional wisdom that's out there that, you know, a lot of it is just kind of BS. And it's like you really just need to heal and not force yourself to do something that you're not ready to do yet. Yeah, so definitely, Tanisha, if you feel like you have to take flight, you know, when you start a date, it's like that's a sign to you that this fear wound is a thing to clear out. Okay, so that's one of the things. Another thing may be that you've lost your confidence around men. So it might be that you don't even expect men to be attracted to you. It's like you don't expect them to be attracted to you and you're not trying to attract them. You don't want to, in a way, you're like not wanting to attract attention because you don't want to go down that whole road again, because attention means that you might start dating, means that he might be, you know, attention means he'll be interested in you and you might start dating and then everything is going to happen all over again and he's going to hurt you. So if you have this fear wound, you may notice that you used to dress in ways that were much more like expressive, you know, of your femininity, of your just respect for yourself and just expressive. Maybe you used to dress a little bit more cute, you know, like even for work and stuff like that. And then you had a really bad breakup, you went through a really difficult situation, and your uniform sort of became like sweats and a ponytail or yoga pants all the time, or like those kinds of things. And you weren't as comfortable expressing your femininity, and you used to be. So that's another sign to you, because it's like if you start to kind of lose your confidence around men, or you don't want to express your, it's not so much just your femininity, because women express femininity in all kinds of different ways, but express like your full self in a way where you would get attention for it. So like, for example, you know, some women really like motorcycles. They really like riding motorcycles. And so a lot of people wouldn't consider that to be like a traditionally feminine kind of expression. So a lot of people wouldn't consider that to be like a traditionally feminine form of expression. But the thing about it is, that is an expression of spirit for women who love to do that. So it's kind of like that. It's not as much like, oh, do you love to, you know, dress up and wear heels and you know, stuff like that. It's like, what is it for you that feels like your highest expression of yourself, or your biggest, most vibrant, like attention-getting expression for yourself? Like, how would you express yourself if you weren't afraid of attracting attention to you? If you could accept and receive the attention with grace, how would you express yourself? So if you feel like you've lost that a little bit, that can be a sign to you of the fear thing that's going on, of a fear breakup wound. Also, that kind of worrying over and over, these obsessive thoughts of like, what if it happens again? It's going to happen again. Okay, I think we're back. My phone's doing crazy things. My apologies. So that's another thing where if you have these obsessive kinds of thoughts of like, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again, or you're afraid it's going to happen again, and you think about it all the time. And what's weird is you get into this weird mind thing where you say, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again. And then you say, I shouldn't keep thinking about how it's going to happen again because I'm going to create a situation where it happens again. Oh no, I'm creating a situation where it happens again because I can't stop obsessing about it happening again. Oh crap, the law of attraction is going to screw me over because I can't stop thinking about it happening again. And you get into this like big cycle of like, you can't stop yourself from being scared that it's going to happen again. And then you're worried that you're attracting that experience, because a lot of us are well versed in the law of attraction. We understand that what we focus on is what we attract, not what we want, but what we focus on. So we get into this thing of like, we know that we are powerful manifestors. We know that we can create things. And then we get freaked out because we're like, if I'm focusing on my fears, I'm going to powerfully manifest my fears. We're like, and then that makes us scared. And then we get back into that thing. We just keep staying in that circle. So that's a big thing that happens too. Another thing that you might do is you might date really compulsively because you're afraid of being alone. And that's like a thing of, oh my gosh, I better date or I'm going to die alone kind of a thing. And I've had clients who've been in that kind of mindset of like, I've proposed that they do a dating detox, and they've been like, but how will I find someone if I do a dating detox? And I have to try to explain, well, you can't find someone now because you have these things that need to be healed. If you jump in, you're just going to keep attracting the same thing to yourself. And it can sometimes be really hard to break that thinking of like, no, my soulmate is just a new dating app away. You know, the next newest, hottest, trendiest dating app, that thing is going to be the thing that changes it for me. Right? Like my soulmate is just one new dating app away. So that's not really what's going on. It's that the energy needs to change, and then you can attract people. Then online dating is just one of many avenues where you can attract your soulmate to you. But really, the energy has to be changed first. So it's the breakup wounds have to be healed first. That's a really big deal. So dating compulsively to avoid being alone, but not making the kind of deep connections that actually evolve into relationships. If that's happening for you, where you're dating all the time and you're afraid to stop dating, and you don't really want to be alone, but you're also not becoming vulnerable enough or meeting the kind of people who you can make connections with and have it evolve into a real relationship that's satisfying for you and feels safe and feels comfortable and feels like that next level kind of a companionship, partnership thing. So that's one of the ways that you know that you've got this fear breakup wound. And then the last way I'm going to talk about that you know that you have the fear breakup wound is if you use sex early on because you want to keep a man close, but then you don't allow yourself to actually be emotionally vulnerable to him. So it's sort of like you send your body out to have sex, even though your heart's not super in it. But you send your body out to have sex because you know that or you believe that that's the thing he wants that's going to keep him. But you keep your emotions and your spirit and everything else still behind a shield that he can't get to. So if that's something that's going on for you, then that's a really big sign of this fear breakup wound. And there are a lot of women that I work with where this is something, that's going on for them energetically. So if that's going on for you, if you kind of, throw sex, and I don't mean like, oh, you're trying to be overly sexual. I mean like you have this thought that's like, well, I don't want to be alone and men want sex, so I'm going to give him sex because I know that will give me some level of companionship. But I don't want to be hurt again, so I'm not going to be emotionally invested in this. I'm just going to send myself out to have sex, but keep all of my emotions behind this big shield. Keep so I'm not vulnerable. Which is interesting, right? Because you look like you're being very vulnerable by having sex with this person that you maybe don't even know that well. But really, you're not being vulnerable because you're keeping your emotions back here. You're too afraid of actually like trusting or falling in love to have that, to feel safe opening up. So those are some of the ways that you know that you've got these breakup wounds. So here are some of the statements that women say, and if these things resonate with you, it's another way for you to tell if you've got these breakup wounds going on. So one of them is, with every breakup, my belief in good men and relationships is just melting away and disappearing. So if that's you, if you feel like that sometimes, then it's okay to feel like that sometimes. If you feel like that sometimes, give me a number 1 in the comments and let me know. Another woman said, that's the number 1 statement. With every breakup, my belief in good men and relationships is just melting away and disappearing. If you feel like that sometimes, give me a number 1 in the comments. The number 2 statement is, I think that I either pretend that I'm okay with being alone because I expect it to happen, or that I try to hang on too tight to someone to avoid it. Okay, so she says, I think that I either pretend that I'm okay with being alone because I expect it to happen, or that I try to hang on too tight to someone to avoid it. So that's the number 2 statement. If you feel like that describes you sometimes, give me a number 2 in the comments. I think that I either pretend that I'm okay with being alone because I expect it to happen, or that I try to hang on too tight to someone to avoid it. So that's also another big one. And then number 3 is, I know I need to lose weight if I'm ever going to find someone now. No one else would want me at this weight. So a lot of times women think that the weight is the big deal. They think that that's a really big deal. I can't tell you how many clients I have who have said, oh my gosh, I've got to lose 15 pounds. I've got to lose 20 pounds. I have a client who wanted to lose like 50 pounds, and she is now happily with her soulmate. Didn't lose pound 1. Her soulmate loved her and wants her exactly how she is right now. And I always say this, but I know that it sometimes takes a little while to sink in, and it is that for every female body type that is out there, there is a man who is crazy about that body type, who is just turned on by it, naturally turned on by it, and just really loves that body type. And it's okay if you don't believe me right now. If we ever work together one-on-one, then you will after a little while. So those are the things that are going on if you've got this fear breakup wound. So I really want you to hold off on dating until you clear out the fear breakup wound and really give yourself some safety, because dating is just going to keep feeling like fight or flight to you for as long as you have this breakup wound. And one of the things is it triggers all kinds of adrenaline responses in you. Like it wears out your heart because of that, stress in your, because when you get stressed out, your heart is beating faster all the time. And it's because of this adrenaline. You literally feel like your life is in danger, and it's because in the past, you might have been in situations where you really did believe your life was in danger. The thing about fear, and how it can come from these things of mistreatment or from abandonment and abuse. In an abuse situation, your life might have been in danger. And because you were abused by someone that you loved, or someone that you were supposed to love, or someone who was abusing you in the name of love, you learned to intertwine love and abuse. And abuse became part of your love languages. It became part of your, the definition of love for you on a deeper level. So that can be a really big thing. And the same thing can happen with abandonment. With abandonment, the fear, that's a very primal fear. Because abandonment is like you get kicked out of, it's like being kicked out of the tribe, kicked out of the community. If you're not part of the community, you die. If you're not part of your tribe, you die alone. Right? In the wilderness. So that's a very deep leftover human fear that we have, this thing about abandonment. And that's why it triggers that fight or flight thing on such a deep level. That's why it triggers that fear on such a deep level. And then the abuse is what kind of triggers the fight or flight thing. The other thing about dating when you're in fear is that it's difficult to see clearly when you are in fear. So what I mean by that is that there will be a lot of self-sabotage going on. It means that you will... There was this woman that I worked with a long time ago, and she used to... she just hated her boss, and she talked about him all the time. She would talk about how antisocial he was, and how come he can't ever say good morning to anybody, and blah, 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 blah. So she would talk about it all the time. She would complain about this guy, her boss. So one day, I'm talking to her, and she says, well, he came in this morning, and he said good morning to me. And I said, oh, that's nice. Like, that's a nice change. And she goes, no, because what does he want? Why is he saying good morning to me? What is he after? Like, what's his, nefarious agenda behind this, right? And it's like, if you're determined to see the world a certain way, it doesn't matter what other people do. You're going to see the world that way. And fear is a lens like that. So if you are terrified that you're going to be mistreated, it doesn't matter whether someone's approaching you in a way where they are actually going to mistreat you, or whether someone is actually a safe person. You're going to see the world that way, through fear. So that's one of the reasons why you don't want to date until you heal these breakup wounds, because they color the way that you see the world, and they color the energy that you're attracting with. So those things are all important. So Dr. Rick Hansen, he has this book called Hardwiring Fear. And, I think it's called Hardwiring Happiness. But he has this little part in it where he talks about fear. And he says, our ancestors made two kinds of mistakes. Number one was thinking there was a tiger in the bushes when there wasn't one. And number two, thinking there was no tiger in the bushes and there was one. The cost of the first mistake, where you thought there was a tiger in the bushes and there wasn't one, is needless anxiety. While the cost of the second one, where you don't think there's a tiger in the bushes and there is one, the cost of the second one is death. So because of that, as human beings, we're really wired to make that first mistake, thinking something's there when there's nothing there, all the time. We're wired to make that mistake. Our brains are wired to make that mistake as human beings, because we needed to make that mistake, because those were the only two mistakes that we could make, and one of them would result in death, which means those people that made that mistake are not in our gene pool. They didn't live long enough to reproduce. So what the people that are left are the people who make the mistake of going, there's a tiger in the bushes, oh no there's not. There's a tiger in the bushes, oh no there's not. There's a tiger in the bushes, oh no there's not, right? That's a human thing that we do. It's like we've done that. It's evolved in us so that we can take care of ourselves. But the problem is that means that we're constantly afraid of things that are not there. Most of the things that we're afraid of are never going to happen. That's the truth is that most of the things that we're afraid of are never going to happen unless we focus relentlessly on calling them into being through our attention energetically and through our behavior by having them be the out picturing of these subconscious thoughts. So in your love life, what that means is it looks like obsessing about things over and over again that are not likely to happen to you in love. But then you actually activate the law of attraction, and then you start attracting those experiences into your life. And then you go, why am I always being cheated on? And then somebody says, well, maybe if you just stop worrying so much about being cheated on, you'll stop being cheated on. And you go, oh, that's a bunch of crap, because I have to worry about being cheated on because I'm always being cheated on. Right? So it's like you get into this pattern and this pattern and this pattern. And it's like, it's natural, it's normal, but you have to break the cycle at some point. And, because, it's like you don't want to live like that forever. You need to make the change in your energy so that you can actually have what you want. You don't want all of your exes from the past hanging out in your energy, keeping your soulmate at arm's length because they can't get in there. They're not attracted. They're not able. There's no space in your energy. There's no space next to you for this person to be. So how do we heal it, right? That's what we want to know. We want to know how we heal this. So what you do for fear, healing fear, is very interesting. What we do for fear is that you want to use a pattern interrupter. You want to interrupt the pattern of those obsessive thoughts. And it's really similar to what we do for the confusion breakup wound as well, because they both have to do with interrupting a pattern of thoughts that is unhealthy, right? So one of the ways to do this that is so great is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, tapping. And I'm going to recommend to you again, Brad Yates. He's so fantastic with this. And overcoming the fear, using EFT to overcome fear, is something that many, many people do. And it doesn't matter what the fear is about. It can be fear of public speaking. I know different speakers who will use EFT right before they come out because they're introverts, they're natural introverts, and they don't really they don't relish the spotlight, but they have certain work that they have to do that requires them to be out in front of crowds and in front of a lot of people, and so you will use EFT so that they can interrupt that pattern of fearful thoughts and just focus on the thing that they need to do. It's also another thing that's really helpful for interrupting that pattern is affirmations. So the thing about EFT and affirmations that's different, EFT is an actual energy healing technique. Because what EFT does is you tap along energy meridians in your body. So whereas when I work with a client one-on-one, I connect to their aura. So my point of entry to do the healing is their aura. So mine connects to theirs, and then we do the work. But when you do EFT for yourself, you're doing energy healing for yourself, and your point of entry is your body. So that's how you connect to your aura, is through your own body. You connect with EFT. So that's how that works. The difference between EFT and affirmations, EFT is an energy healing technique. Affirmations are just, they're statements that work on the level of your conscious mind. For affirmations to actually get down into your subconscious mind, you've got to repeat. There are two ways. You either repeat them a ton of times. So you're looking at like a month of saying something like 100 times a day. Or you repeat it in a very high, vibrant, emotional state. So if you are in a state of extreme joy or just feeling incredibly prosperous for some reason, and you start saying an affirmation over and over and over in that state, then you can make that go straight into your subconscious in a really powerful way right then. But otherwise, the only way to really get it deep into your subconscious is through repetition, repetition, repetition. That's why a lot of people get annoyed with affirmations, because they give up before the affirmations have had time to get down into their conscious mind. We want changes, and we want them right now. So those things can happen. So affirmations are another tool that you can use. Just be aware that it can take a little while. Affirmations, I think, are a great tool, because if you have something that you can kind of pull out of your toolbox, then it can help you in a situation. Like, one of the affirmations that I use is from Louise Hay, and I'll use this affirmation if a situation is really, if a problem situation comes up that I'm trying to deal with. And the affirmation is, only good will come out of this. This is easily resolved for the highest good of all concerned. All is well, and I am safe. And I can repeat that, 100 times in a day if I keep getting distracted by a fearful thought. I can keep coming back to it, keep coming back to it. Because the thing is, you're going to have fearful thoughts. You'll never get to a point where you're like, I only think about happy things. My mind is positive 100% of the time. Like, that never happens. That's never going to happen. And even Louise Hay said, someone asked her, what is the... Oh, no, she was sharing the thought that takes me out most of the time, or the thought that takes me out, that like hits me, is you are not good enough. Louise Hay, Louise Hay, who's helped millions of people be able to love themselves and do self-forgiveness kinds of work and heal their lives, still had the thought, you are not good enough. She said the difference is that it used to take me out for weeks. Now it only takes me out for a few minutes. So you have to think like, it's not a thing of, I'm going to be cured of something forever and it's never going to come back again. You're a human being, so of course you're going to have negative thoughts come up. Of course you're going to have, bad days. Of course you're going to still feel fearful even after you've done some of the fearful work. The difference is it's not going to take you out as long. You're going to recognize it. You're going to have tools. You're going to recover. You're going to be back into your, back here, back into your present time, mindful, and being able to actually deal with what's really going on in your life and have the things that you want. So those are some ways to deal with the fear. EFT and affirmations. Another way that's really powerful for dealing with the fear is energetically, because you are the co-creator of your life. You're co-creating your life with the divine. Okay? You're a master manifester, and it's your divine birthright to have the life that you want. It's your divine birthright to have the love life that satisfies you, to have good health, to have a career or self-expression in the world that you love, and to have plenty of money. Those things are your birthright. But sometimes what happens is we forget those things, or we feel, we lower our expectations of what we think is possible, and we call that being practical and realistic and living in the real world. And it's really a lie. It's a lie that tells us that we have to settle. And it's just a lie. It's not true. And when you find that some of those things are happening, you can speak a new law over your life. So you may be like, my car keeps breaking down, or I never have enough money for anything, or I only have barely enough money. You can speak a new law over your life, and that begins to, when you speak something over and over again, you begin to speak it into existence, and you can speak it as a law over your life. So you can say, I make my decisions out of love and not fear. And that love can be love for yourself. I make my decisions out of self-love and not fear. And that is the law of my life. So that's something that is helpful, if you can speak a new law over your life when you recognize that fear is taking over. And then the last thing is that you can look for new evidence. So here is what I mean by looking for new evidence. It is very easy to find things that already corroborate what you believe is true. And that works in two different ways. It can work in your favor or it can work against you. Now, here's what I mean. You have a system, we all do. We have this system in our brains that's called the reticular activating system. It's just a certain process by which information gets to different parts of our brain. And what happens is the reticular activating system is responsible for selective attention. And what that means is that when you see something and it means something to you, it's significant to you, you'll start to see it. When you attach significance to something, you'll start seeing it over and over and over and over and over again. You'll start to give selective attention to seeing that thing over and over and over in your world. And part of it is like if you have a Prius, you'll notice that you see Priuses everywhere. I don't know what the plural for Prius is. Prii? I don't know. But Priuses, I'm going to say. So when you buy a certain kind of car, you start to see that car everywhere, 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 right? Or if you're pregnant, you'll start to notice the pregnant women around you everywhere. Is it because there are more pregnant women around you than there usually are? No. It's because you notice them and you're in tune to them because that state has emotional significance for you. So what happens is a lot of times that works the opposite way for women. Like we don't realize that we can use this and harness this in a powerful way that makes the law of attraction work really well for us. So what I want you to do, if you're in your 40s and you want to get married, what I want you to do is pay attention to couples in their 40s. Look for stories of women who got married in their 40s and are happily married. Look for examples in your life of women who got married in their 40s and are happily married. And give those things your attention. Put those things on a dream board if you're inclined to make a dream board. Save pictures or screenshots of those things and use them as your desktop on your computer. Print them out and put them on your fridge or put them on your mirror so you see those things. Surround yourself with evidence that what you want is possible in the world so that you will focus on that and activate the law of attraction to bring that into your life. Because otherwise, you will default to seeing just all the BS and crap that's around you, and you'll start to focus on it, and you'll start to have these resentments and this pettiness. And it's like when you watch a lot of reality TV, it brings a lot of drama into your life because it teaches you to focus on pettiness and foolishness and shenanigans. It's like same thing as it's like scan the news, but don't look at the news all the time. Like maybe scan it when you read it. Tori Patillo, who is a teacher that I love so much. Tori Patillo, she's fantastic. She's such a beautiful spirit and an amazing teacher. She talks about how she always just reads news so that she can scan it and skip the things that have a deep impact on her, a deep negative impact on her. Because she knows as an empath, and if you are an empath, it's important to protect your energy in that way. You don't just let everything in just because it's out there. So that's an important thing. So those are the big things. You want to do EFT. You can do affirmations. And a great affirmation when you're in fear is only good will come out of this. It is easily resolved for the highest good of all concerned. All is well and I am safe. You can even break that down to I am safe. I am safe. I am provided for. I am safe. And that's good enough. And if you feel that, if you put your hand on your heart and take a deep breath in and you let it out and you say, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. Pay attention to what's happening in your body right now. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. And share with me in the comments, when you do that, what is happening in your body? What changes in your body when you do that? When you put your hand to your heart, when you take a deep breath and you say, I am safe. And you can always take 60 seconds to take 5 or 6 or 7 deep breaths and say or think, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. Unless you're driving, obviously, of course. So number 1 is EFT. Number 2 are affirmations, and one of them is that about safety. The third one is speaking a new law into your life. Hi, Siobhan. I feel more calm and more relaxed. Yes, and when you're more calm and you're more relaxed, you can see your environment clearly. You can see the people in your life clearly. You can see situations clearly. You can make good decisions. You know what you need to do. You can hear your inner wisdom clearly when you're calm and relaxed. When you're calm and relaxed, when you feel safe, you can ask yourself questions like, what would someone who loves herself do in this situation? It seems like a really simple question, but it's life-changing. What would someone who loves herself do in this situation right now? Hugely transformational. Hugely transformational. All right. And then the last one was new evidence. Look for new evidence. So look for the proof that what you want is out there in the world. Because once you prove to your subconscious mind that the thing you want is possible because it's out there in the world, then the next step is it's possible for me. But if you are having a hard time even believing that it's possible because you're not focusing on the evidence out in the world that it is possible, then it's going to make everything a lot harder for you because you have to go, it's like you're trying to jump, 2 or 3 levels up at a time. Start with proving to your subconscious mind that what you want is possible because it exists out there in the world. And it does. I guarantee you it does. Look for those examples. Look for that evidence. Gather new evidence. And you can even say to the universe, whether you say God or whether you say the universe or the divine or whatever it is that you say, you can say, God, show me some signs, show me some new evidence out here in the world that what I want is possible, that someone is living it. Show me. Show me. I need to see that it's possible. And you will start to see that. How would it feel to know that your heart was safe in a bulletproof relationship that was crazy fun, friendship and love and romance all combined, something solid to build a future on, and something that feels like home? I'm going to show you exactly how to create that. But first, I want to share a secret with you that a lot of women do not know. And really understanding this and believing it and acting on it can mean the difference between having your true soulmate in your life now and being alone. So here is the secret. It doesn't matter whether it was 5 days ago or 5 years ago. Your ex is still in your energy. And if he's still in your energy, then 2 things are happening. Number 1, he is still calling the shots because your past relationship with him and the breakup wounds that you endured and suffered as a result of that breakup with him, all of that is still coloring how you look at dating, how you look at men, how you look at relationships, how you look at sex, how safe you feel with men, all of that in the present time. And number 2, he's keeping you single because if he's still in your energy, there's no room for anyone new to come in. So if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about, right? And I want you to ask yourself these questions and answer really honestly, okay? Are you secretly cyberstalking your ex on Instagram or Facebook? You can tell the truth because it's just you and me, and I'm not going to tell anybody. Do you secretly want your ex back and you're too ashamed or embarrassed to admit it to anyone? Or do you still feel emotional pain over your breakup, even though it was years ago? Are you numbing your feelings about love and dating through meaningless sex or emotional eating or drowning your feelings in Merlot? And do you blame yourself for ignoring the red flags in the relationship or in many of your relationships in the past and feel like you really can't trust your own judgment anymore when it comes to love and dating and men? Do you pretend to be okay with being alone because you expect it to happen anyway? Or do you cling really tightly to someone to avoid being alone? And do you still, to this day, try to figure out, even if the breakup was a long time ago, are you still trying to figure out why he never fully committed to you or chose you or appreciated you, and you're secretly wondering what it was about you that made him leave? And lastly, are you so afraid, deep down, so terrified of being cheated on again, being abandoned again, not being chosen again, and just repeating this pattern forever and ever? If you answered yes to any of these things, I want you to know something. There is nothing wrong with you. Many, many women feel the same way that you feel, and this can be healed. I'm Carisa Montooth. I'm a love and dating coach. I'm the creator of Date with Confidence and the Soul Love Society. And I have not only overcome my own heartache and married my dream guy, but I have helped hundreds of other women, smart, heart-centered, spiritually minded women just like you, to leave the pain of a breakup behind and to become magnetic to new love in their lives. My favorite nickname from my clients is the fairy godmother of love, which was given to me by a client who told me that every time we talk, she always gets a call or a text or an email from a man within an hour of her session with me. So now, how would you like to heal your breakup, clear your ex out of your energy, and become magnetic to new love? Without reading tons of self-help books, without spending hours in therapy, without drowning your feelings in Merlot. What would it feel like to finally have that partner who cherishes you, commits to you, is passionate about you, has eyes for no one in the world but you, and thinks that you are the most gorgeous, sexiest creature on the face of this earth? I want to introduce you to the Overnight Heartache Cure. Now, with the Overnight Heartache Cure, you will repair the damage to your heart and your confidence. You will stop the endless cycle of questions and obsessive thoughts about your ex. You will restore your faith in love, and you will start attracting commitment-minded, emotionally mature men. And best of all, you will feel like your strong, sexy, vibrant, powerful self again. If you suffered through the heartbreak and the pain that I did and that my clients did when their relationships ended, then you might be willing to pay $300, $400, $500 for something like this that like some self-help guru creates for you. But there's nothing like this in the world, and you won't pay that for this. So stick around and I will show you how and why this is the super low price that it is. But first, let me tell you about these awesome bonuses. You're going to get the Breakup Wounds Masterclass, and this is where you will learn exactly which breakup wounds you have so that you can heal them. And this includes over 6 hours of transformational healing insight so that you can get those aha moments and breakthroughs and answer those questions that you've been asking yourself over and over and over again since the breakup. Like, why didn't he choose me? Why didn't he commit to me? What is it about me that made him not commit to me? Why was it so much easier for him to move on than it was for me? You will answer all of those questions with this Breakup Wounds Masterclass, plus you will get concrete healing hacks to help you heal those wounds and shift quickly into an energy that is much more powerful and magnetic for love. You will also get the Love List Intensive, which is my masterclass where you will learn my proven 4-part strategy for manifesting your soulmate through the law of attraction using a love list. And speaking of the law of attraction, you will get my 7 law of attraction dating hacks to attract your marriage-minded man masterclass. And finally, you will get my Is He a Keeper masterclass, where you will learn the 3 signs that a man is marriage material and commitment minded. That is on top of the 5 overnight healing audios, the overnight heartache cure workbook, and the 5 breakup wound intro videos. So we're talking about $400 worth of love life transforming bonus content. And the entire thing is now worth $500 at least, right? I could easily sell it for that, but I'm not going to. And the reason why is that I don't want you to struggle and suffer through this unnecessarily long and painful healing process that I went through and that so many other women go through when they have a breakup and they're trying to move past that and attract new love. And I especially don't want you to miss out on a solution that is going to bring you out of pain, relieve you from pain because of money. So I'm offering all of this to you for the super low affordable price of $49. Only $49 for the overnight heartache cure and all of the bonuses. Plus, I am guaranteeing that you will feel better when you use this program, or I will give you 100% of your money back. So there is no risk for you. It's a 100% money back guarantee for you. No risk. So here is what some of the women who have used my Love Life healing audios in the past have to say. So Janalee says, I was so frustrated with my love life. I hadn't had a date in a number of years. I was ready for a change. I thought I would be a tough case because I had a lot of anger and resentment about love. I had lots of negative thoughts that were repeating over and over, and I was just taking them for fact. But when we did the clearing, I noticed that the thoughts weren't there anymore. They disappeared. It was as if I had never thought them before. That was a huge shift for me. I saw the biggest transformation when we started to clear those blocks. I'm dating someone now and it's so great. It's been 4 years since my last relationship and I didn't think it could happen again. It feels really good. Leslie says, I feel lighter. She says, Carissa's healing audios have made a huge impact in my life. There have been mornings I woke up after listening to it and I knew my blocks were cleared and I felt lighter. When I've had a day when I feel like my heart isn't where I want it, I listen to the meditation and the next day I feel like I have the tools I needed. I'm remembering my dreams and I haven't done that in around 20 years. Danielle says, I am so glad I've incorporated Carissa's love healing audios into my sleep routine. Normally, it's very hard for me to stop my mind from racing and to settle down. Since I've been listening to the meditations, I find it so easy to relax because I just focus on the sounds. I've never slept better, and I feel like a woman of value, much stronger. I don't feel insecure anymore, and that was big for me. This meditation has been so impactful, and I'm so grateful. And Rebecca says, the love healing audios have been such a great tool. I listen to them as I fall asleep, and within days of starting it, I began noticing shifts in my thoughts. I went from thinking myself unworthy and less than to feeling worthy, beautiful, open to love, as well as feeling full of self-love. So, here is the thing. I've had the honor of helping hundreds of women, and I'm using these same methods that you're going to find in the overnight heartache cure that I'm sharing with you today. And here's what some other women have to say about my methods. Now, Amanda says, she says this in a post, ladies, I wanted to share some of the fruits of my labor, which is the private work I've done with Carisa Ford Montooth as a client of hers. Of course, anytime I talk to Carissa, I feel like I've just had my fairy godmother wave a wand over my head because I always get a text, call, invite, etc. from a man within the hour. I had a date on Tuesday. Yes, the hunky and kind-eyed man that I've co-created work things with for over a year, finally got the courage to ask me out for drinks. Jasmine says, Jasmine got engaged, and she says, I've given so much in the past and often given too much. Carissa supported me in being able to believe in love again and walk the journey to meet my soulmate. Sarah's boyfriend moved across country to be with her, and not to move in with her. He moved across country, got his own apartment to be close to her. Now she says, I'm such a workaholic and jaded from past relationships, but I did what Carissa told me to do, and 2 days later I met a guy who embodied everything I wanted. A month later he moved from New York to be here with me. And Janalee says, her new boyfriend matches everything on her love list. Now this is later on after she's, because she also was telling us about, this last relationship, but she says something else. She says, he's doing well financially, he's in charge of his life, and he's not at all the player type. All I want to say is thanks. I was so discouraged, and I never really thought it was possible. So, This is what happens. It doesn't matter whether you are a single mom who's used to doing everything on your own. It doesn't matter whether you are a workaholic and you're used to being in your masculine energy a lot for your career, and so you're worried about intimidating men. It doesn't matter. Please know that this can work for you. And it's worked for so many different women. It can work for you. And again, if you are not satisfied and you don't see changes, you can literally get 100% of your money back. So there is no risk to you. And now is the time. Now is your time for love. Now is your time for healing. Not some distant time in the future, not as soon as. Now is the time for love for you. So, the clock is ticking on the offer. You can see that here on the page, and I want to just share with you that it really breaks my heart to see the women who wait and then lose out on the offer and then email me after the fact, because once the offer is gone, it is gone and there are no exceptions. So act now. Click that big green button and get started right now. You have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I will see you on the inside.